Hello, this is Aprille Walker from the Yoga Ranger Studio, and this is PJ. He's going to help us out today for a little while. Today's practice is all about weekend warriors. So if you are someone who on the weekend does all your gardening, all your household stuff, goes out and does major sports, is a big outdoor person on the weekend, and at the end of the weekend you feel great, but on Monday you're really sore and everything hurts, then this practice is for you. So we're going to need just a couple of props. A blanket underneath I always recommend, but you don't have to have that. That's purely optional. A cat if you have one, and they'll join you. A second blanket, this one we actually do need, so if you just have a beach towel, that works just as well. And we are going to start in reclined bound angle. A little bit of a supported kind of fish practice here. Hi, PJ. So go ahead and sit down, roll your shoulders on top of that blanket. Move your cat out of the way. Start to inch your way down with your knees bent till your shoulders just begin to barely kiss the floor. Arms out to the side. You're going to go ahead and bring the bottoms of your feet together. And if you want to, you can take those arms up higher. You can interlace them as long as the entire arm is on the floor. So you want to get it to where your forearm and your shoulder and your arm is fully supported by the floor. Palms facing up. Take some nice deep breaths. A lot of deep stretch in the back. So if you've been doing any weekend warrior stuff, you know that your back from leaning over gets really tight. This is a nice inner leg and chest opener. Close your eyes, settle into your breath. With each breath, begin to feel your back just sort of releasing and relaxing. Let your shoulders open. I know at the very beginning of this pose, you can always feel like there's just a big roll stuck in your back. But as time goes by and that traction begins to happen, you feel a little bit more release. And that in turn allows your legs to open a little bit wider. Soften the muscles. Maybe you find after a few breaths you can take your arms up a little bit higher. Remember that in Yin, if you go too far, you can always back out of the pose just a little bit. Find that appropriate edge for yourself. So in this practice, we're going to look at all the areas of the body that weekend warriors tend to use. Inside of legs, upper back, shoulders, hamstrings, and quadriceps. Just to give them a nice stretch. Release some of that tension from overplaying and overworking. Focus on your breath here, 3-part breath. Breathe into the belly, the chest, the collarbones. And because your chest is lifted, you'll get a deeper, fuller, richer breath here. And begin to extend your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale. Allowing that breath to just soften and release everything. Send you into that healing mode, the parasympathetic nervous system. about halfway through. See if you can release a little bit more tension. Maybe wiggle your fingers and then soften them. Last minute here. Feel the breath begin to expand out to the sides, expanding the side waist, the side body. If you worked really hard this weekend or played really hard this weekend, this area may be a little bit sore. You want to kind of softly, gently loosen up some of that connective tissue so your breath is fuller. Very gently begin to take one elbow then the other down a little bit, lower arms out straight. You can start to stretch your left leg out and your right leg out straight. Take a couple of breaths here. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Bring your feet flat. Roll over to your right side very slowly and carefully. And gently press yourself all the way up. Here we're just going to take a couple of cat-cows here. So go ahead and arch and round. And exhale, cow tilt. Inhale, cat arch. Just two more at your own breath pace. Freeing up the spine a little bit more. And then coming back to center, you're going to take that blanket down the middle. We're going to use this to rest our head. We're going to take a wide knees child's pose. So take those big toes together, knees super wide. Line this up so that your head's going to fall on it. And we're going to take a little twisted ropes with this. So take the left in front of the right, palms facing up, cross, and then let your head lower down onto the blanket. You may have to adjust that blanket so it works just perfect for you. If you had a very active gardening or sports weekend, your shoulders are really tight, so just soften that space in between the shoulders. Walk the hands out super wide. Make a fist at the start, and then release those hands, palms up. Focus back on that breath. Breathing into the back side of the body as well as the front. Extending the exhale, letting gravity open those shoulders up and just roll them down toward the floor.
As time goes by, gravity will allow you to sink the hips and sink the body toward the floor. Just one more minute here. Remember that in yoga, if you have a cat as a prop, you always must pet them in the middle of a yoga pose. Go ahead and lift your head, start to walk your hands back up. Take your palms down and cross back the other way. Just sit up here for just a breath or two and kind of round the shoulders back and forth. Slide them up and down. Maybe you feel a little bit more mobility in the shoulders. Maybe the cat helped. This time we're going to cross the opposite way. So right is going to go in front of left. Slide the hands out, forehead down onto that blanket. Now you can come down to the floor, but I kind of like the blanket prop underneath to let me not fall too far. I like the stretch, but not too much. Find what works for you. Maybe after a few breaths, you can walk those hands out a little bit further. And soften those shoulders away from the ears. Just one more minute here. Last deep inhale and exhale. Fill the back side of the body, the side waist, the front. Open your mouth. Exhale it all out. Begin to lift your head. Turn your palms over and start to walk the hands back in. Press through the palms. Bring those knees a little bit closer together. Rock forward and come into your cat-cow again. Just take 5 cat-cows at your own breath pace here. With a helper, of course. Come back to center. Take a nice deep breath here. Let everything soften a little bit more.
Okay, in our next pose, we're gonna use the same little setup. We're gonna turn ourselves around. Now you can use this blanket or not use this blanket for this pose. I find it helps. So we're gonna come all the way back around. You're gonna take your left leg out in front of you. Your right leg is gonna tuck back behind you and you're gonna sit on the very edge of that blanket. So this is sort of a half hero pose, but we're not gonna fold backwards, we're gonna fold forwards. So you can shift that leg out just a little bit further. Remember, it's a very kind of loose. In a yang practice, this would be Trianga Mukha Kapata Paschimottanasana, so it's a little bit of a kind of mix here. Your foot can be flat to the floor or turned out to the side. You could have a cat lick your feet, that's kind of fun. Start to fold yourself forward, relax your knee, you can even lift a little bit off the floor. Don't worry too much about the back side of the leg. If your hamstrings are super tight, go ahead and allow that knee to kind of pop up a little bit higher. Allow yourself to just sort of drape forward. Remember, in a yin practice, we're allowed to curve the back forward and drop the head down, drop the chin to the chest if that feels good for you. You can walk your hands out a little bit further. If you feel comfortable, you can take that blanket out from underneath that left hip. Depends on your weekend warrioring. Remember to focus on that breath every now and then. Just come back to that inhale and exhale. 3-part breath, belly, chest, collarbones. That's going to allow you to soften and relax and sink into this pose more deeply. And also keep in mind that in yin poses, they're not always comfortable. There is a certain amount of discomfort in yin. If it's shockingly painful or sharpshooting pains, you want to back out just a little bit and find that spot where it's uncomfortable but not painful. But if you do feel some tension and some discomfort and restriction in certain areas, that's perfectly normal. Maybe as time goes by, you begin to soften a little bit closer to the floor and think in terms of millimeters and centimeters in a yin practice. It's not like you drop down 2 or 3 inches. Always know if you find that's too much, you can back out just a little bit. You're a little more than halfway through now. This pose is going to help stretch the lower back, the hamstrings, the top side of the front of the thigh. A little acupressure on the feet, help stretch the feet as well. It's also a great pose for bringing balance to your energy or your chi, as this works with the bladder meridian and the kidney meridians to some extent.
2 more deep breaths here. Fill the lungs. And then soften into the pose. And start to walk your hands back up. Go ahead and let that left leg straighten out a little bit. We're going to take that right hand over to the right and left arm up and over for a little side stretch. So stretch those fingertips just for about 5 breaths. Breathe into that left side body. Then back to center. You're going to lean over to the left, release that right leg. Take it out in front of you super slow. If you have a blanket underneath, you get to see the blanket print on your foot. PJ thinks I'm going to move him, but I'm not. Watch your foot pink up a little bit, wiggle the toes, maybe bounce the knees just a little bit, give a little massage. You can always prop yourself higher if that pose is inaccessible because of knee compression. So you can sit up higher on something and lean yourself further like a bolster. So we're going to go ahead and switch. I will take the roll a little bit over to the right. Sit up on the right leg straight. Take that left leg back behind me. I like to take my thumb and kind of move the calf out of the way and flip that foot over. In a Yang class, you would know this is half hero pose sometimes, or you would see this as a half saddle pose. Hello, helper. Sit up nice and tall, kind of find your spot here, and then go ahead and lean forward. Now you can always move that blanket back a little bit further or forward. Pet your cat prop. Once again, you can bend that knee a little bit more. This may be the leg that feels a little bit more comfortable, and you might find that you don't have to bend it as much. I find that if I allow the knee to get a little bit softer and bend, I can get a little bit more stretch down the entire back side of the body. Remember to allow yourself to soften into this pose, no matter how little that amount may be. Let your inhale kind of lengthen things out a little bit more, and your exhale just allow you to sink a little bit deeper. You're halfway through here. Remember to breathe into the back side of the body, expand the side waist, 3-part breath. Extending that exhale. last minute here. Start to walk your hands back up to center. Let that right leg go straight. This time you're going to take your hand over to the left side. Right hand's going to go up and over and stretch that right side body. Two more deep breaths. And come back to center, lean over to the right, take that left leg out. Very slowly, you can come off of your blanket, put it off to the side, rub your legs down, wiggle your toes, shake things out just a little bit. And then come all the way down onto your back. Take the arms out to the side in a T. You're going to shift your hips over to the right, cross that right leg over the left, walk that leg back and drop those knees over to the left. Twisted roots here. Let those knees drop as far as they will go. You can take your arms more at a Y, so get a little stretch across the front of the chest and shoulders. You can turn and look over your right shoulder or straight up. A really great stretch for the side body, out through the hip and IT band, down through the legs and lower back. Always good to end a practice with a nice deep twist. And just one more minute here. And inhale, turn your head back to center. Engage your core and bring those knees back through the middle. Unwind.
Take your hips stacked down the center line. Walk your feet a little bit wide and drop the knees together just for 3 deep breaths here. Feel that spiral you were just in kind of unwinding itself in the back. Taking this period after the twist to feel the transition and to breathe into that space. Feel the energy change. And then switching sides. So walk your hips over to the left, cross that left leg over right. Drop the knees over to the right, arms out to the side. You can turn and look over your left shoulder this time. On an inhale, bring your head back to center, engage your core, bring those knees back through the middle. Unwind, walk your feet wide, drop your knees together. A couple of deep inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Notice the shift in energy, the unwinding of your back. And then gently make your way into whatever Shavasana feels good for you. You can take your hands to your belly, your hands alongside the hips. Walk your feet wide, heels wide, drop the toes out to the side. Gently lift and tuck the shoulder blades underneath. Settle into your breath. Maybe extending that exhale twice as long as your inhale or close to that. And sensing everything a little bit softer, a little less tense. Feeling a deep, full body stretch here. If you have more time to spend in Shavasana, please feel free to stay. But if this is all the time you have, gently bend your knees, bring the bottoms of your feet flat. On your next inhale, take your arms up overhead and stretch and lengthen your spine. And softly exhale, roll over to your right side. Take a moment to pause here. And then whenever you're ready, press yourself up into whatever seated position you like best. You can keep your eyes closed or open. Take your hands palms up or palms down onto your knees. On your next exhale, drop those fingertips down to the floor. Inhale, sweep the hands all the way up overhead. Open your eyes, look up at your palms. Exhale, hands to heart. Peace and namaste. I hope you enjoyed this practice. For all you weekend warriors out there, may this help you feel just a little bit better, help you recover from your play hard, work hard weekends. If you enjoyed this practice, please like and comment down below and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I upload new videos every single week, so I hope to see you back here again. And if you're interested in deepening your practice with me, I now have a member site. There is a link down below and also up above. You can check that out and see if you would like to go a little bit deeper into your practice with me, live calls. We also have some exclusive videos. We also have some of the YouTube videos uploaded there as well. So I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.